Most people probably know that Robert Downey Jr. has had a history of substance abuse. He was introduced to these substances by his filmmaker father and was given stronger substances that resulted in him becoming an addict. The problem followed him into adulthood and nearly ended his acting career following a series of arrests. From 1996 through 2001, he was arrested several times on charges related to illegal substances, and he went through drug treatment programs and spent time in the county jail and prison. Thankfully though, he managed to kick the habit once and for all in the early 2000s, but people have still brought up this topic over and over again. In an interview about the Iron Man movies, Robert was asked an extremely personal question about his family and their shared history of substance abuse. Now, this wasn't the point of the interview, and Robert was not impressed with this question. He said, "I'm sorry, what are we doing? Are we promoting a movie?" and then walked out. The interviewer then apologized, but it was truly an out-of-pocket question, and I'm glad Robert walked out. Later, speaking to radio host Howard Stern, Robert said he didn't have any regrets about walking out of the interview. "I just wish I'd left sooner," he said. Jerry Seinfeld is best known for playing a semi-fictionalized version of himself in the sitcom Seinfeld, which he created and wrote with Larry David. Now, in 2007, Larry King had Jerry on his show, and at the time Jerry was filming for the B movie and he was promoting it during filming. However, Larry asked Jerry a question about his sitcom that didn't go over too well. "You gave it up, right? They didn't cancel you, you canceled them," Larry asked. Now, Jerry did not appreciate this and sat there and stared at him with a dumbfounded expression before shooting back. "You're not aware of this? You think I got cancelled? Are you under the impression that I got cancelled?" asked Jerry, his voice rising. Larry then sensed that Jerry was behaving rather sensitively to the question. "Have I hurt you, Jerry?" he asked, and Jerry went off by saying, "I thought it was well documented. Is this still CNN? Yeah, no, I went off the air. I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am? 75 million viewers, the last episode." Wow, yeah, he really put him in his place. Then in 2014, Samuel L. Jackson was doing an interview with KTLA Sam Rubin, who asked Samuel what the reaction was to his Super Bowl commercial. Now, the problem was Samuel didn't do the commercial, it was another actor, and Sam got it wrong. Sam looked off camera as he realized his mistake, and Samuel called him out saying, "You're the entertainment reporter for the station, and you don't know the difference between me and Lawrence Fishburne. That must be a very short line for your job outside there," he said. Now, he then went on a tangent for about 2 minutes, calling out the reporter, and Sam apologized profusely. Later, Sam issued an apology saying, "I indicated to Samuel that I'd seen him during the Super Bowl, and he thought I had confused him with the commercial Lawrence Fishburne had done for a car company. Of course, a Captain America ad had also run during the Super Bowl, but I immediately felt so dumb I didn't bring that up, and he gave me the slacking that was well deserved," the reporter said. He then apologized further by saying, "I pride myself on the fact that unlike a lot of people who do this kind of work, more often than not, I really do know what I'm talking about, but I didn't 30 minutes ago, and I'm really embarrassed about it, and I very much apologize to Samuel L. Jackson and anyone else who was offended for what was a very amateur mistake." Then in 2011, Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake were at a press conference in Moscow to promote their film Friends with Benefits. Now, during the conference, Mila, who speaks Russian, Mila went back and forth with the reporter saying, "Well, if he wants to make movies and he can, why shouldn't he? What kind of question is that? Why are you here, huh?" Now, the reporter responded with, "Well, I'm just doing my job," and Mila said, "Well, so is he. It's the same thing." Now, I'm glad Mila stood up for Justin because the reporter was just being straight up rude. Justin then tried to keep up with the conversation via an earpiece providing a delayed translation, and afterwards he pointed to Mila and said, "This is my bodyguard." Now, Cara Delevingne was interviewed for Good Day Sacramento to promote her film Paper Towns. She was video chatting as she wasn't actually in the studio, and she was asked questions about the film, and she made a lot of sarcastic comments, obviously joking. Now, the host didn't seem to understand this, and one host said that they saw her in London a couple weeks ago being interviewed, and she seemed more excited about the film, and they asked, "Are you exhausted?" which is just a crazy question to ask. Cara seemed visibly upset about this comment, saying no, she's still very excited, and that the premiere was last night and it was emotional. Now, she also added that this interview was happening in the morning, so she just needed more energy. Now the host then said that she seemed irritated and said they'd let her go before saying one more line of, "Go take a little nap, have a Red Bull, how about that?" Now Cara awkwardly smiles and says, "Okay, now too far," and stares into the camera. And obviously uncomfortable, they end the feed on Cara's end as the hosts go to bash her and talk poorly about her. Now it was all just so rude and unnecessary, and she didn't deserve to be treated that way. Carmen Carrea is a model who in 2014 Katie Couric invited to be on her talk show. After Carmen discussed her modeling career as a trans woman, Katie began asking about her transition. She asked, "Was the whole process painful physically for you? And your private parts are different now, aren't they?" Now the second question caused Carmen to shush Katie. "I don't want to talk about it because it's really personal," she said. "I don't know, I'd rather talk about my modeling stuff. I'd rather talk about being in W and maybe being in Italian Vogue and doing fun stuff and showing people that after the transition, there's still life to live. I still have my career goals, I still have my family goals." Katie received backlash for her questions, and Laverne Cox, who appeared on the show after Carmen, told the host that focusing on transgender people's transitions rather than their daily lives objectifies them. Now in 2017, Katie revealed that she had the opportunity to cut the segment out of the interview, but decided to keep it as an educational moment for her audience. "I discussed it with Laverne Cox, and I wanted, maybe foolishly, to use myself as an example to really have a teachable moment on the show," she told the Daily Beast. "That was my intent, and I guess I did it at the expense of making myself seem like an insensitive buffoon, which I guess I was." Now in 2015, Ariana Grande did a radio interview with Los Angeles' Power 106, DJs Just Incredible and Eric D. Lux. Now unfortunately, these men decided to ask Ariana sexist questions instead of talking to her about her music and career. "If you could use makeup or your phone one last time, what would you pick?" one of them asked. Now Ariana was thrown by this question and responded with, "Is this men assuming that's what girls would have to choose between?" And later in the interview, they asked her how long she could go without being on her phone, and she puts them in their place by saying she can go a long time without her phone, to which one the host replies with, "Ladies learn," and Ariana hits back with, "Boys learn. Boys and girls learn. We can all learn." Ariana was clearly uncomfortable throughout the whole interview, and the radio host should have known better, and I'm glad Ariana called them out for their behavior. And finally, back in 2012, Nicki Minaj and radio host Peter Rosenberg got into a feud after Peter declared at that year's Hot 97 Summer Jam concert that her Pink Friday Roman Reloaded single Starships wasn't real hip-hop. A year later, the pair spoke on Hot 97, and Nicki took some shots at Peter after he disrespected her music and said, "I don't know your resume, I never found you funny, I never found you entertaining, I never found you smart," she told him. "I just found you annoying. To me, it was like, who are you? You don't have enough of a resume to make those comments." Now this didn't really matter though, because later Peter tweeted that Nicki's boyfriend threatened him and that he still stands by his comments, claiming that Nicki overreacted. "She's had a lot of good moments, Starships ain't one of them, and it represents the opposite of real hip-hop," he explained. Well, that's all for our list of celebrities who confronted their interviewer on live TV. Now, which interview do you think was the worst? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and we'll see you next time. Peace.